We're going to talk a little bit about gochujang, which is, I always say it's Bobby Flay's most favorite spice now, other than some of the other peppers and things like that he does. And then we're going to actually put the Korean barbecue over Sesame Hibachi Noodles. So we'll have like a little bit more flavors, some sweetness, a little, umami, a little bit of tartness, a little bit of, kind of the heat and things, which is going to be great. And then we're going to do a Korean zucchini. So that'll be just a side dish. Or, truthfully, with all the mixtures and the flavors that we're going to put on that, you could actually just mix it right in with the Korean barbecue and then have all kinds of different vegetables. So I have a feeling that you'll really like the sauces of the different ones. And this is, you could make like mason jars of the sauces and then keep those off to the side and saute up vegetables and, do like some stir fries or just all kinds of different things, which it's a great thing, and then you could also eat it cold. So that's another thing. So I was just thinking about the 116-degree weather. You may not want anything that's heated, so you could always do these things cold too and just have them right out of the fridge, and they're really good. So I was trying to think, we're doing plant-based, no oil. So we always talk about the no oil. So there's always three things I saute with. So it's either vegetable broth or stock. And then there's water, and I use water a lot intermittently. So if I don't have stock, if I don't have one open in the fridge, then I just use water. And then white wine, which is usually in my tomato sauces. So we're going to get started here in about a minute, but I'll let Jerry go ahead and introduce himself. And if you see me looking to the left, it just means that I'm looking at the computer, looking at chat or anything like that. But I'll let Jerry introduce himself, and I'll let him kind of the microphone close so everybody can hear him.
Okay. Hello. Hold up. Okay. I'm Jerry Casados for the first timers here, plant-based nutritionist. And we've been plant-based now 15 years plus. And I did it for health reasons of my own, heart disease developing, blood pressure meds, all that stuff when you get a little older. And now I'm off all meds. Saw Dr. McDougall, he got me back my health. But basically, went back to school, got my nutrition degree, and here I am just trying to help people get well. But I also am a certified instructor for Dr. McDougall's Start Solution program. So it's a pretty good program. Obviously, been doing it for 40 years, getting people healthy with plant-based foods, mostly starches, all that good stuff. And I'll make a little announcement here. I mentioned last time I was going to do some classes, Zoom class, nutrition classes. So I'm going to do one on the microbiome, which is pretty important nowadays, because we don't eat enough fiber, and how we got a whole ecosystem in our bodies we need to take care of, and it causes a lot of gut issues and chronic diseases. So anyway, that's going to be coming up. Been working on that, and the Start Solution is going to be part of that too. So those who are interested in what the Start Solution is, I can give you some insight on that. But do you have any questions about nutrition, put it in the chat window, and I'll be glad to answer. And other than that, I'm just going to eat food. Watch.
Definitely, he's the food eater. He's like, okay, what do we have? And he looks at all the recipes every time I send him over to get them all posted and stuff. And he's like, ooh, can't wait for that one. So it'll be really good. Okay, so all right, Korean barbecue. So we're going to get a couple things started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the tofu. So you don't have to. I always use firm tofu. Or extra firm if I can find it in the stores. So one of the things that we always do is I usually on this recipe is I bake it first. You don't have to. It just holds up when you're baking it. It actually gives it a little bit more spongy or texture, and then it holds up into the sauces. But if you're like in a quick hurry and just want to do this, and you're like, oh, I sound like Korean barbecue, just make a little bit bigger chunks, and then just be really kind of like just nice and easy, very saute it and stuff, and put the sauce on it, and then you're ready to go. So we'll go ahead and get this going. So we said, package firm, so it's cubed. So usually what I'll do is I'll just kind of, just look at it and see what size I want to do. I'll usually do about a 1/2 inch, just because then the cubes hold up really well. So I just slice through it. And I usually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I go a little bit smaller and stuff, I'll get 6 rows in there. And then what I'll do is I'll just take them and I'll separate them and stack them up on top of each other like that. And it just makes it easier to cut. And then just because I want a little bit bigger chunks, I'm going to go just right down the middle of each of these. And then just turn them the other side. It's almost like a deck of cards. And then just kind of like little 1/2 inch chunks. So let me grab so just a regular baking sheet, or if you have the Silpat, you can do that too. So you just kind of want to just separate them out. Couple rows. Like I said, I'm baking it this time just because I want it a little bit chewier, but you do not have to bake it. And just separate them. But you notice the little chunks and stuff hold up really well when you've got them about that size. Every once in a while, you'll get something that's a little bit smaller just because it depends on how you cut the tofu, but that's okay. There we go. This is another one where you could make up the tofu ahead of time and then have it, you could have it for salads. You could put it on all kinds of different things. Put it in with some stir fry with the different sauces. You can do it cold, salads, all really good. There we go. Okay, so no sauce or anything like that on it. Like I said, I'm just baking it because I want it a little bit spongier. So it is going to go into the oven. And it'll start getting all nice and kind of spongy, which is great. All right, wipe the board. The nice thing about it is when I was, because a lot of times and stuff, your tofu will be, they always say take all the moisture. So a lot of times what I'll do is, especially when I do it overnight, I just take it right out of the bin that it comes in, the little plastic tube, and then I'll just drain it, and then I'll put like a couple paper towels on the bottom, and then put the tofu in there, and then I set it in, you can cover it with like plastic wrap or just put a lid on it, and it actually soaks up. So there's all your moisture, which is really nice. So it does you don't have to get a tofu press or anything like that. How long in the oven? Yeah. So you've got, in the oven 350, and then you're probably you're gonna watch it. So depending on your oven, so probably like 15, 20 minutes. And I'll kind of show you a little bit of what it looks like as we're going through it and kind of watching it. So we will make sure that you know exactly what it looks like. And like I said, it's all gonna depend on your oven. If you want it like a little bit quicker, go like 375, and that probably is gonna take about 15, 20 minutes because you're not baking it all the way where it's gonna be crunchy. You're just wanting to be where it's a little bit more spongier and a lot of the moisture comes out of it. So it makes it actually chewier, which is really nice. Gas oven, yep. So I have a gas oven. So I set mine a little bit higher just because of the class. I want to make sure that it gets there. So gas oven, same thing. You could do 350, and then you're probably about 15, 20 minutes. So it's also a dish that, the tofu you could do a day ahead of time. So if you say, we're going to have Korean barbecue tomorrow because it's a Friday night dinner and the family's coming over or something like that, you could actually do the tofu ahead of time and bake it. And then just bring it out and just, and when you're getting ready to have your sauce ready, just let it soak in the sauce a little bit more and heat it all up and it's ready to go. So you can get the tofu done way ahead of time without having to do it last minute. All right, so we're gonna also get in the noodles. So we're gonna do the Sesame Hibachi Noodles. So I'm just using a regular whole grain spaghetti noodle. You can use linguine, soba, whatever you like, rice noodles, etc. It's hard in our stores right now and stuff to get the soba noodles. Can't always find them, and if you do find them, it's not always the brand that we're looking for. So it has ingredients that we're not looking for. So I just decided to go ahead and use spaghetti if you want it thicker. Linguine is really good. I mean, there's all kinds of different ones. So it says a pound. So I'm gonna do most of a pound just because it's what Jerry and I eat, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we can always finish it. So I'm just gonna kind of measure it out a little bit. Been making a lot of noodle salads lately. I was talking to Jerry before the class started. I said, we've been doing a lot of noodle salads, and just having we have like the drunken noodles. We'll do those, and we'll put all kinds of vegetables in it, and then we'll do ones that have like this one that says the Sesame Hibachi. We've got one that's a chili garlic. And it's really fun because you've got the noodles and then you can put like all kinds of vegetables in it, which are still good. You've got all your zucchinis and your cauliflowers and all that. And it's just a really good dish that you can eat, either heat it up, because Jerry likes to heat things up, or if you just want to do it cold, then you've got, just a great big bowl of noodles and, you could put some arugula in it and all those kind of things. You've just got this great thing that is in your fridge and ready to go. So there's a lot of times and stuff on a great big huge salad bowl. I'll make that many noodles with cabbage and red cabbage and green cabbage and peppers and all kinds of things like that with it, and a sauce, and it just will eat on it for the whole week, which is really wonderful. So I'm gonna get the Korean barbecue sauce ready, so it's just ready to go. So you'll notice on the recipe if you're following along, so I've got agave. So if you don't want to use agave, you could do maple syrup. That's a really easy one. Or if you want something a little bit like the sweetness, you could actually do a date paste if you wanted to. So I just happen to have the agave, so getting all that out of there. Let me grab a spoon. When I make these up the night before, a lot of times the dish will grab whatever I put in it just a little bit. So I want to get all that agave out. Then we're going to do we've got the 2 garlic cloves all minced. So just garlic that's just minced up. Another way that you could change this recipe that I always talk about is you could roast up your garlic. So you just put the regular bulbs of garlic in the oven, 350, and it doesn't matter if it's electric or gas. And you can go ahead and just put them in there for probably 45 minutes to an hour or so, and the outside will get real crispy, and then the inside and stuff you'll just kind of peel them down, after it cools off, get the garlic bulbs, and then you just squeeze them out. Oh, it is so good. Anything that has roasted garlic in it, especially if you've got sauces and stuff, is really, really good. All right, I'm getting sticky everywhere. All right, and then we're going to do red pepper flakes. So there's a couple different ways that you can do it. You can do your regular red pepper flakes that you get, for pizzas and pastas. Jerry and I eat a lot of red pepper flakes. We've got them, we put them on pasta, all kinds of things now. And since I haven't been able to use much of this, you can do the red chili powder, which coarse and stuff, which is a Korean one. So flavor-wise, they're very similar. I would say they're the Korean one, and you can get these on Amazon, and I think it was like $3 or something on Amazon, but it's a lot. They both have that red pepper flake smell, and I would say this one's probably the Korean one's a little bit stronger, and it's the flakes and stuff, when you do the red pepper flakes, they're usually pretty big. This one's it's coarse, but it's a lot smaller, so it's almost like it's taken the red pepper flakes and ground them all up. So I'm just going to use these just because, like I said, I don't get to use this much, so it's kind of fun to be able to use up some of my spices. So let's just get a teaspoon. So we're going to do, and if you don't want heat, cut way back. So as I always say when I'm doing my recipes is, even with my recipes, because I've developed the palate and we like things spicy and that, when you're starting with your spices, so even on this one, I would start out with maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of the red pepper flakes, or even the ones that are the Korean. So it's actually just red chili powder, coarse. And there's this one, the brand is Jayon, Jayone. And the same thing, start out with 1/8, taste it. And then if it's too spicy, then start out with even a 1/16, but then build up if you want it spicier. Okay, all grain soba noodles, gluten-free types. Check label, make sure there's that you get everything in there. So portion, so Korean barbecue. So what I'm making today with 1 tub of tofu is about 4 to 6 servings. So, but it all depends on how hungry you are. So the normal 4 to 6 servings where they give, everything that's all mixed up, that's what it says. But, truthfully, you could probably sit down and 2 people, you actually have 1 meal out of it. So, okay, then I've got gochujang. So gochujang, like I said, is Bobby Flay's favorite type of paste now. So it's brown rice, red pepper paste. You can get it. It used to be we're only in the Asian markets, but it's now you can get it in every store. It's King Soopers, Kroger's, all kinds of things that are out there. So you can get it in little tubs. You can get it in little squeeze paste type of thing. But it's just, it's really, really dark. So it's just a really dark paste, but it's got a really nice smell to it, and it gives really good flavor to things. So a little bit of heat, red chili, kind of a red chili flavor, but then it's also got some sweetness to us, which is really nice. And the nice thing about having containers like this, then you don't have to worry about it. You just kind of put them right back up in the fridge. So the paste, the gochujang, it has a little bit, I was just going to wait until it all kind of settled in, a little bit of heat at the back. So if you're going to do the gochujang, I would say, because it's a tablespoon I'm going to put in here, you might want to start out with a 1/4 of a teaspoon. But it's got a nice, almost like a fruity flavor with it too. So the heat, like when you do a red pepper flake or a pepper, and it stays with you a long time, it goes away and it turns sweet with the gochujang. There you go. I'll let Jerry type that in for you. And you can tell it's really thick. So it might take a couple minutes and stuff just to get it to break down, but that's okay. Beautiful color. It's like a nice, like deep, dark, kind of like a Bordeaux or a Burgundy. Probably. All right, so I got that in there. And then I've got low sodium tamari. You could use soy sauce also. You could also do Bragg's. There's all kinds of different ones that you can do. You could do coconut aminos if you wanted to, which will give it a little bit different flavor, but still really good. And then a half of a lime. Grab my. That gives you the citrus, which makes everything bright, which is really nice. Yep, I sure can. I sure can. So the juice of half of a lime. I did a tablespoon of the gochujang, and then I also did a tablespoon of the low sodium tamari, and I will keep actually telling you exactly how much I'm putting in there. So just stir that up a little bit. And if you want, because I have the lime there, I'm going to do just a little bit of the rind. You could also add this at the very end. If you watch a lot of cooking classes, one thing they always tell you is it needed more salt. Is that what they'll usually tell you? Or they need more citrus. So that'll give it a really nice freshness. Okay, I'll let that set to the side. So you can tell it's a really dark, kind of a red Bordeaux burgundy, really pretty. So taste-wise, don't want to use the same spoon because I have the gochujang on it. Because of the agave, you've got a little bit of the heat and stuff, but very, very light on the heat once you mix everything up. More like a fruity kind of, which is really good. So I'll set that to the side because I'll wait till the tofu is ready for that, and then we'll make some other things. So now we need to go ahead, and a saucepan, we need to get the hibachi noodle sauce ready. So I'll grab my saucepan. I got agave everywhere. It's like sticky. All right, so now if we're going to make the hibachi noodles, so we're going to do 2 tablespoons. Let me grab everything over here. Not a lot of ingredients you can see, but a lot of the ingredients are the same across the recipes, which is always fun. So 2 tablespoons brown sugar. If you don't want to use brown sugar, then I would do like a monk fruit. Oops, as I dropped some monk fruit. You can do date paste. So it's giving you that kind of, and you know what, brown sugar, once you melt it down and you kind of let it absorb, it gives you that thickness. A lot of things that you're trying to make here, even though you have the hoisin sauce and everything. But there's anything, you know, you can substitute all kinds of things for brown sugar. So like I said, date paste, monk fruit. If we're doing 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, I would probably start out with maybe like a tablespoon of monk fruit sweetener. And then if you needed to add some more for some sweetness, you could do that. But I wouldn't do it 1 for 1 because I think you're going to get it, like the monk fruit will get almost like a bitter because it's too much sugar. All right, then you got 2 cloves of garlic minced. So you can see there's a lot of similarities between the recipes. Garlic, little bit of sweetness, little bit of heat. Throw that over there. Gluten-free substitute for hoisin. So the thickness, so what hoisin gives you is a thickness, and it gives you a little bit of sweetness too. But you could do something like coconut aminos if you wanted to, which would be really good, so it'd give you a nice flavor. But gluten-free, let me think about this for a second. What else could you do? If you take so you still need the sweetness, because I was going to tell you, you can take like tamari and that type of things, and you just, like let it simmer and it gets thicker, just like what you do with a balsamic. It still doesn't give you the sweetness. So if you did the coconut aminos or something like that, and just let them kind of, boil down to where they start getting really thick, and just make sure you watch it, then you could always put maybe a teaspoon or even less, probably half a teaspoon of agave, and that would give you a really nice flavor that would substitute for the hoisin. But yeah, there's not a lot for the hoisin stuff. There's not a lot gluten-free. Let me grab the hoisin. Let me grab it real quick. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's got a little bit of sugar, salt. You get your soybeans, chili pepper. You got the wheat flour. That's what the, okay, so that's what they so I was trying to think if I've seen any hoisin. I haven't seen anything gluten-free. So that's why I'd say you'd have to make it. So I don't know, like maybe if like there's a teriyaki sauce too that you could use that would be a good substitute for it. Because I have seen some gluten-free teriyaki sauces. So maybe that's the best, maybe that's kind of the best thing for it. And this is just like a hoisin sauce. Put that over there. Ah, Kinkelman. Okay, so Mona, thank you, Mona, makes the gluten-free one. So Kinkelman, if you can get, if you can't find it, I would say Amazon, because Amazon has everything now. That would be a good one and stuff that you could do. Thank you, Mona, for that. That's great. All right, then we've got 4 tablespoons low sodium tamari. So add that in. What'd you use for brown sugar? Yeah, so dates for brown sugar. So I would do, so if you've like mixed up your date paste and you have it in a mason jar, so I would use probably, I would start out with like a tablespoon of the date paste. And then if you want a little bit more sweetener, then you can, then sweetness, you could add it in. So I would start a little bit lower first because the date paste tends to be really, really sweet. So that's what I would try first. And then you've got a tablespoon of hoisin sauce or teriyaki sauce. Get it all out of the little jars. Grab a whisk. Check the noodles. So I'm going to take this off because the tofu's not ready just yet. It is getting there though. All right, so it's all mixed up. So it just looks like a really dark teriyaki type of a sauce. So we're going to put that on the burner and get that. So get this heated up. And then the other thing that we're going to add is a teaspoon of the vegetable broth. So if your sauce, if you're like when you're starting to cook it and maybe your noodles aren't ready and it starts getting a little bit thick, you could add vegetable broth or you could add water. And that just keeps it where it's moist and everything and then it doesn't burn in your pan. Like I said, either one, vegetable broth or water will work. So Nika, did you download the recipes from the site? So on our meetup site and stuff, you can actually get all the recipes right there. And then for sauce, is it brown sugar, garlic? Okay, so for the sauce, it's brown sugar, so 2 tablespoons brown sugar, 2 cloves of garlic, 4 tablespoons low sodium tamari, or soy sauce, it's either one, 1 tablespoon hoisin. Then you've got a teaspoon of the red pepper flakes. Add less if you don't want lots of heat. And then 1 teaspoon vegetable broth. And I'm going to go this really low because it's not going to take very long with everything in it to thicken up. So taste-wise, because I always like to tell you what things taste like before we actually pour everything together. That's good. Teensy little bit of heat. You could definitely, if you wanted to, you could put some gochujang in it, type of thing. But it's more like probably like a sweetness a little bit. So it's going to go really good with a Korean barbecue that's going to have more of the heat. But yeah, really good. That's a good sauce. You could actually use this, make this up, and do all kinds of stir fry. Great. Yeah, Jerry just put a link out there to the recipes. We always make sure that you guys have all the recipes. All right, so I'll just let that kind of simmer. All right, let me check the noodles. Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the noodles, and then I'm going to put the lid on them because I want the sauce to boil just a little bit more. Nice little pasta facial there. All right, now let me check the tofu. So let me show you the tofu, what it's starting to look like. So here's what the tofu is starting to look like. So you'll notice it has like some of the brownness on it. So, you know, anytime and stuff, if you want, just kind of turn them just a little bit. Kind of flip them. And it's nice because when you get this little bit of browning that's on the sides, it gives you that nice, like I said, it takes all the moisture out of it, but it gives this nice sponginess. And then it holds up the sauce because the minute it hits the sauce, it's going to soak up all the great sauce and things, but it's also not going to break apart like sometimes tofu does. So you'll actually have more big chunks than you will have broken up tofu. All right, let me put that in there. Go for a few more minutes. So I'm sure, so Nika, I'm sure you're asking about the sesame hibachi. They're probably, like I said, I'll taste the sauce again real quick. It is probably a little bit of smokiness to it, a little bit of sweetness, teensy, like just barely touching your tongue as far as the heat. But it's going to be it's a base for the Korean barbecue that's going to go on top with the tofu. So like I said, you're going to have a little bit of the sweetness on the bottom. And you could make it, you could add a lot more of the red pepper flakes and things like that on there. But then you have that mixture of the Korean barbecue that's going to go on top. And so you're going to have kind of like that sweet, smoky, a little bit of heat, all those type of things together. So really good. And if your sauce doesn't thicken up, then you could always come back in and you could always add like a little bit more agave if you little agave if you wanted to. You could actually add not cornstarch. I mean, you can get cornstarch that's non-GMO, which is really good, but you can also add like all like the tapioca flour, stir those in, almost like you're making a gravy. So thicken it up a little bit more. I'm going to leave mine just a little bit. It's thickening up a little bit. It's not like real thick or anything like that, so stretchy thick, but it's enough, and I'll pull it off to the side and stuff, but it's enough and stuff that where it's going to be able to stick to the noodles, and then I'm going to mix the noodles up quite a bit so it has those good flavors on it. So I'm going to pull that off to the side. I'll just put that right there. Do that. All right, so now, my tofu, as you can tell, is going to be at the very end. All right, so I've got my zucchini. The zucchini, if you get regular zucchini, like the big zucchini, our stores for some reason in Colorado, I don't know if because we're landlocked or something, but the zucchinis tend to be really small. So Jerry got a couple of the small zucchinis, but if you got like one big zucchini or a couple of big zucchinis, definitely get 4 to 6 servings out of it easy. This one will probably be about, I would say for Jerry and I, because we'll probably throw it within the Korean barbecue tonight, we'll probably get 2 servings of that, maybe a little bit left over. And if there's any left over, we know where that's going, right? Jerry. He hits, like I said, he will make sure that he's the first to the refrigerator and stuff for lunch the next day, because he's always like, ooh, make sure whatever the leftovers are for the classes and stuff, he's number one for that, which I'm fine with. There's no waste. He ate all the jambalaya last time, all that. So at least I guess that means I'm a good chef then, right? It's all good. Okay, so I'm going to go medium low, start. Okay, so if you're following along on the recipe, we're going to do the Korean zucchini. So I've got 2 small zucchinis, which equals basically 1 large zucchini. And all I did was just take the zucchini, cut the ends off, slice it lengthwise, and then just do little half moons. But you could do full rounds if you wanted to. You could do quarters. It's completely up to you what you want to do. Especially if you're going to be adding it to the Korean barbecue, you could have done just match up to the kind of match. You could have done this and put these in and done another cut and done them in quarters. So then there are more bite-sized pieces. All right, so we've got the zucchini already cut up. So I'm going to get a little bit of vegetable broth going. If you don't have vegetable broth, water, stock. All right, and then we've got the zucchini. So we've got that, let that heat up for just about a minute or so, or even not even a minute, probably a couple seconds. Make sure my spoons. All right. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the zucchini in. So just a little bit of sauteing for that. Kind of sticking a little bit. This is another, so the sauce that we're making for the Korean zucchini, another way that you could do this too, you could actually make it, make the sauce, and then you could do it over cucumbers and onions and all kinds of stuff. So if you want it more cold, then you could do it that way too. But the zucchini tomorrow is actually gonna be really nice. Let's get those going. It's not gonna take much for zucchini because zucchini is one of those ones, because it's very much of a water vegetable, that if you saute it too much, we all know what happens. You end up with the green rind and then this really kind of like middle. Mushy. Like when you put it in soups, if you don't do big chunks, it becomes really mushy. All right, so then we're gonna add, so I did the vegetable broth in there already. So we're gonna add here in just a minute or two, 2 garlic cloves minced. So same thing, garlic across the whole recipe. I've got 1 teaspoon of agave, and you could, like I said, you could do date paste, you could do monk fruit sweetener, whatever. You could do no sweetener at all. So you could stay more the spicy side if you'd like to. And then I've got the 1 teaspoon hoisin sauce, and you could do, like I said, the kinkomon, which is the gluten-free, which is great. Then I'm gonna do a little bit of the red pepper flakes, and then we'll add sesame seeds, scallions, everything else to her. I'll probably put a little bit of scallions in it, but then the scallions will be for decoration. And then, of course, always have black sesame seeds and regular sesame seeds. Like I said, it doesn't take much. I like zucchini, that or yellow squash, when it just, it has that bite. So it's almost like when they, when they're saying, oh, you blanch green beans or asparagus, and then you throw it in the cold, you blanch it and you put it in the cold water really quick, and it has that crunch. That's what I like with zucchini too. I don't like it when it gets mushy. So when I'm doing like a stir fry, and you can tell I have a big cast iron stir fry back here that we use a lot. And zucchini is always at the very end because I want that crispness of it. Looks almost exactly what I need it to be. I've got 1 zucchini that is stuck on the other. There we go. So pretty much when you're sauteing the zucchini, it's enough where it's heated through. So that's what it, like I said, it gives you that nice crispness, which is what I like. If you want it more cooked, then cook it more. But like there, so you can see it's got the nice coating of the vegetable broth on it, all ready to go. And it's soft, so if I grab a piece, it still has that crispness of it, but it's warm through. Great zucchini. It's been interesting. Zucchini's not been easy to find in Colorado. Okay, so we talked about through it. So I'm going to do a little bit of scallion. So the scallion, I just cut it at an angle. So you'll see I have these nice little angled pieces, which just makes it pretty. So add a little bit in. Another thing too is when you're sauteing in scallions is to not cook them too much so that you have that crispness also. That's what I like about stir fries, is when you have those vegetables and they're really crisp and fresh. Okay, so green on green and a little bit of yellow, the inside. All right, then we've got the garlic. So the garlic cloves, we're gonna add that. And you don't have to cut up all the, I always talk about the tips and tricks. You definitely don't have to cut up all the garlic. You can get it, I mean, like Costco has it, pretty much all the stores have it now, where you can get minced garlic. Available all the time, which is really nice. But there is nothing better, I have to admit. There's nothing better than roasting up a bunch of garlic, like if you do 10 of the bulbs on a Sunday, and then then you peel them all down and you put them in the freezer. Really good. When you take them out of the freezer, it only takes like a couple minutes for them to thaw out, and then you just chop them up and put them in all kinds of sauces and these type of things. Okay, so I got the garlic in there, so I got the scallions in there and the other ingredients. So I've got the teaspoon of agave. I keep throwing my spoon away. I'm going through a lot of spoons. This is one because, once the vegetables are sauteed up, you could leave the sweetener out because your vegetables and stuff are going to be sweet as it is. So just give it a quick little stir. I'm going to go on a low now. Make sure you really give it just a nice stir because your garlic is going to be all over the place and you don't want it to stick on just the few of the pieces. And then you've got the hoisin. Lots of little dishes today. All right, and then we've got the Korean red pepper flakes. So we said a teaspoon. Grab that again. And it's such a vibrant, almost like a rusty red, that when you put it on food like this and you're sauteing out, it's so pretty. I'll taste one here in a second so I can tell you what they taste like. I'll make sure I get the hoisin and everything else mixed up in there. I have a recipe too that uses the Korean red pepper flakes that it's for cucumber. It's like a cucumber salad. And I am not a fan of cucumbers, but I will actually eat that salad. It is so good. All right, let's grab. That's really good. So there's what it looks like, all ready to go. If you want to add sea salt, you can. You can see that you can notice and stuff that I don't cook with salt. Jerry's not a big fan of salt, so I always don't cook with it, but I always have it on the table because I like salt. But that's really good. All right, let's get these in here. Make sure you scrape your pan because you've got all the garlic and the scallions and everything else that are going to stick to your pan. Let me grab. So then you add, when you've got it going, add your fresh scallions. Black sesame seeds. Regular sesame seeds. There we go. Okay, then we're going to get the tofu going. There is your Korean zucchini. Doesn't it look good? That's that's basically like a fork and a bowl. Yum. Think of all the other vegetables you could put in there, the cauliflower and broccoli and all that, and you'd have ready to go. Okay, there's that. Okay, we got the sesame hibachi. Let me grab the tofu out. There we go. That's beautiful. So there's the tofu. So you'll notice, see the sponginess? It's got this nice kind of a browning and stuff on the sides, and the moisture's out of it. That's perfect. Yeah, so sesame seeds, so black. So there's really no flavor differences, and that's a great question. Yeah, so it's more for when I'm taking pictures. I love the black sesame seeds on any type of food, especially if it's something that's a Korean or Asian, just because it's the black sesame seeds add such interest to it, and the white sesame seeds too, because you've got all the different colors and flavors and that. But sesame seeds, whether they're black or the regular, they taste the same. I would say 9 times out of 10, I go for the black sesame seeds. I just like what they look like on cucumbers or anything that's like a green vegetable. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna get the sauce heated. So remember our sauce that we had the gochujang and everything else in it. We're gonna get this started. Pour that in a saute pan. And another way that you could make this even easier if you wanted to, like I said, I always like to give tips and tricks. Make it easier is you could actually, when you've got this sauce ready, you could put this into a bowl and then just pour the sauce right on it. As long as you've kind of maybe, and it doesn't even have to be heated because your tofu's so hot, it's gonna pick up the sauce. I'm just gonna heat it up because I'm following my recipe. But there's a lot of times and stuff I don't, and I'll actually just start ad-libbing. Or you could take the sauce, like make double, and you could pour this, so you could pour it on the tofu when it's baking, and then it soaks into the tofu, and then it comes around, and then you could have extra sauce to be able to pour on top, which is really good too. Let that heat for just a minute, and then we're gonna get the noodles ready too. Let me get this, too many pans going. See if I had, oh, there we go. Don't need that anymore, so we will actually put this here. Beautiful tofu. Got a nice color to it. All right, so noodles. Nice hot noodles. So I'm gonna grab a different bowl because I don't wanna mess up the bowl I'll show you. So regular spaghetti noodles. Coming through the bottom. Let me grab my, and if you want, you could rinse them. I know a lot of people like to rinse them. I'm not gonna do this because I'm gonna be pouring the sauce right on it, so I don't need to do that. Okay, turn this down. That smells so good. All right, let's put that there. Here is my sauce that we talked about that we made for the Sesame Hibachi Noodles. So I'm just gonna drizzle that on. Same thing, make sure you get all the garlic and everything else is at the bottom of your saute pan. And then I'm going to grab tongs. What sauce goes with noodles and, oh, so what goes, okay, so if you got, so the sauce that I made with the brown sugar, says the brown sugar, the sodium, the low sodium soy sauce, the hoisin sauce, that all went for the noodles. And then the one that is a really dark red that has the gochujang, and it's a lot spicier, is the one that goes with the Korean barbecue. So it goes with the tofu. So just kind of grab your noodles. And you shouldn't have much sauce on the bottom, so you just want to keep, just kind of grab it a little bit, pull it up. Could do those with just a whole bunch of different vegetables in it. Really good. So I'm not gonna add anything to this. So now I've got this in here, so I'm gonna add the tofu. This is the nice thing about using parchment paper. It's a funnel. And you throw it away when you're done. All right, let me grab my bowl. So I'll turn it a little bit. Look at the color of that. You can see that. I'm sure you can grab the camera on it. Is that? Isn't that pretty? And this sauce, I'm gonna pull the tofu out, and then if we wanna add some to it, because I'm gonna keep the sauce, but if we wanna add some to it, I definitely will keep it off to the side, and we can drizzle it on top for spicy, depending on how spicy you want it, or not spicy. But look at that. Look look how pretty that is, the colors. All right, so let's get the noodles. I can hear Jerry behind the camera. He's like, All right, I gotta get just a little drizzle of the sauce. So you could actually just put sesame seeds on this, scallions, and it's ready to go. I mean, this is a full meal just by itself without even adding anything to it. But gotta add the piece de resistance. It smells like a little bit of spice, a little bit of sweet. What do you think, Jerry?
Good.
And there's probably, by the time I dish everything out here with the tofu and things, we probably have about a quarter of a cup of the sauce. You just unplug. Oop. Gonna have to listen to it. So as you can see, there's probably about a quarter of a cup that I have there that we're gonna keep to the side. All right. Make it pretty. I'm gonna add just a teeny bit. Scallions. You could add more red pepper flakes. You could add just the, I guess you would call it the Americanized or pizza red pepper flakes if you wanted to. Messy. You could add that on top here if you wanted even more heat. You could add some microgreens. I know they're not like Korean barbecue, but good for you. Just add them in. Just get it ready for the pitcher before Jerry tries to stick a fork in it. All right, and then we've got sesame seeds. Is that for good luck? White ones. That, to me, looks delicious. I guarantee you this will be one that Jerry is going to be like, please make it again and again, have it for lunches, have all these type of things. If you wanted to, too, on this, if you wanted just a little bit of the acid, you could add just a little bit of the lime because you've got the lime going through everything here, too. So there is your Korean barbecue over your sesame hibachi noodles. And like I said, you could do soba, you could do any kind of noodles that you want, or you could just do the Korean barbecue and have the noodles on the side. But I figured since we're having dinner, this looks delicious. And Jerry's like, who needs beef? And then we have your Korean zucchini. Like I said, you could actually take some of these pieces and you want, like if you were making a bowl for a family or just for yourself, you could take some of these pieces also and put it right here in the Korean barbecue and have one great big luscious bowl of food. Like I said, this is like ready. This is like a fork dinner ready to go. So we dump that down. It's a little heavy. If you buy special ingredients like the gochujang sauce, what are recipes I can use it for? You can use it for anything like stir fries is really good. So you can just do a little bit of like a teriyaki or your hoisin sauce or anything like that and mix in a little gochujang because it just gives you that really nice kind of a fruity, smoky flavor. I use it for a lot of those. I've used it for I'm trying to think. I would say 99% of the time I'm using it for like a Korean barbecue or I'm using it for a stir fry. But it saves for a long time. So if you've got, like this little tub, I think it was like $3.99, and you can get even smaller amounts of this. It seals up really well, and it keeps. It's almost like a miso, where if you just keep it covered. This one's probably, I can almost tell you. So this one's actually, sorry, dog. This one's probably 6 months old, 6 months plus old, and it's still great. It's still good for all my recipes and stuff. So you'll find, I think that once you try it, and like I said, you can get them in little tubes like a tomato paste. Once you try it, you're going to find stuff that you really like it, and you're going to start putting in a lot of different sauces. It's really good. Where do I find your other recipes? Yes. So Jerry, did you want to go ahead and just on the site he'll put the Google link on there. So all the recipes are out there, plus all the videos are on our YouTube site. So any class that we do, you can follow along and watch everything that I'm doing. We got a fly in here, which flies this year are bad. But we have all those recipes that you can follow along with the videos, or you can just try the recipes by yourself. But if you do, I love to hear, like if you make a recipe and you've got it in a bowl, or you're just making it up for the family. Love to hear, love to see photos. So please always submit on the meetup site of what you guys are doing. So, or if you changed it out, like you changed the Korean zucchini to zucchini plus yellow squash or something like that, we'd love to see what that's all about. Red pepper flakes, so you can just use the regular that we have for pizzas right now. You can use that, or what? Red pepper flakes. So basically it's like the inside of the peppers, like the peppers that you're making. And it's just they're like a red, so like these little reds, you can kind of see this on here, like these little red chili peppers, and like even like the jalapeno things that you're cutting out, but it's just the inside seeds of a pepper that have been dried out. So it's where they always say your heat's at. Like when you're doing a jalapeno, you scrape out the spine and the seeds and you don't have the heat. That's where all these come from. So we love it when we go like, New Mexico, and they do all the red peppers, the roasted red peppers, and you can get them all fresh like that. But you don't have to do the red pepper flakes if you don't want heat. You've got enough with the gochujang and all those things like that just makes it really, really good. So Jerry posted on there, you'll see the YouTube channel, you'll see everything else with the site. All my beat up you can go to the Google channel and you can get all the recipes. You can download them all, make a huge cookbook, which is really great. And eventually I will get mine going. I've been talking to Chef AJ, trying to get mine going. It's just, working full time also makes it a little tough, but we'll get there. Get there with pictures. That's why I make them look like this. This is not normal for dinner on a day-to-day basis, but I make them like this so I can take the pictures and put them in the cookbook. So everybody be like, ooh, I want to make that because it looks good. Yes, and you can also, if you want any other recipes, any substitutions, I always say that too, email me at Kelley, Kelley, at Plant Based Kitchen, and that's on the site too. Anything that you guys need, if you need substitutions, especially with holidays coming up, which is just sad. It's gone so quick. But any of those things like that, and we'll be doing lots of holiday recipes, just let me know and I can tell you what substitutions would work and what to substitute and how to, maybe do something completely different if it's gluten-free, et cetera. So happy to help. It's all about community and eating well. So, all right, I think we're right at time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. So we're having a hummus pasta, which will be really fun. And I think it's like an Italian salad, which I think maybe with the crack dressing, which I always call, if you don't know what that is, you'll want to join because you'll get to learn what that dressing is. And I guarantee you, it will become a favorite. That's why we call it the crack dressing. We'll tell you the story about that. But hope you guys join me in 2 weeks. So I will see you then. Love you guys. And enjoy your night. Coolness to everybody.
Thank you so much. It was amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.